Running a business comes with a lot of what ifs, but luckily there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku, and it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
This episode is brought to you by Sales Cred, the definitive book on sales credibility by our co-host, Seeley Smith. Sales credibility is the quality all salespeople must have in abundance before they can ever hope to earn trust and become a trusted advisor. And Sales Cred reveals how salespeople build and lose credibility with the things you say and do every day. Pick up a copy now at Amazon.com or other fine online business booksellers. Welcome to the Manage Smarter podcast with hosts Seeley Smith and Audrey Strong. We're glad you're here for discussions on new ways to manage smarter, hire, develop and retain talent, improve results, and propel team performance to new heights. This is the Manage Smarter podcast.
Our guest today, Lee, she's a badass leader, and that's actually her brand, Badass Leadership. And I'm telling you, she embodies it, and you're really going to learn a lot from her. She's got a very interesting point of view.
Yeah, I'm really excited to kind of dive into her book and also learn about the Harley Davidson of leadership development, which is her company. So I love that title. So let's dive in.
Welcome to Manage Smarter, everyone. I'm Audrey Strong. I'm Vice President of Communications here at Sales Fuel.
And I'm Seeley Smith. I'm President and CEO of Sales Fuel.
Okay, everybody. Michelle Reines is our guest today. She's a speaker, author, coach, entrepreneur, and founder of MDR Coaching and Consulting and creator of the unconventional Badass Leader brand. And I love this, Michelle. You say you went from bad to badass leader. That's the name of your book, 12 leadership lessons. And, I love that you say in the beginning you weren't too great at it.
Oh, no.
Like most of us, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I just went from ass to badass.
Lightning speed.
So I know that you say a lot of people when you start out don't know how to lead. And I know you do have some thoughts from watching your videos that you have some COVID-19 pandemic leadership advice as well for not only leaders, but also their teams. Do you want to start there?
Absolutely. Yeah. First off, thanks for having me. It's super fun to share this unconventional brand. And yes, it is I call it the potato, the Harley Davidson flavor of leadership, which is sugar-free and a lot of fun because leadership is fun, especially when we get the people parts right. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to COVID, I think it's critically important that we embody the same type of what I have outlined in the book or the 12 leadership lessons, which are I'll run through them quickly, and then I can talk through how I apply them in a situation like COVID or actually any crisis, whether it be your organization is experiencing accelerated growth because of COVID or whether you're just stunted growth in this kind of paralytic state. The 12 leadership lessons, lesson 1 is don't be an ass. So during crisis, it's really important that you don't have ass-like behavior. I mean, it sounds like common sense, but you'd be surprised how sometimes as leaders, or I should say managers, we show up in a way that's more egotistical and about us and not about navigating our teams through crisis. And lesson 2 is stop, drop, take a selfie. So not being an ass means you need to be self-aware. You need to stop, look in the mirror, really understand how you show up as a leader for your team, for your brand, for your organization, for your clients or customers. And then lesson 3 is let's talk about trust, baby. I can't think of a more important time than in crisis of any scale that trust is, at the core and the center of everything as far as your opportunity to safely and effectively navigate your teams and organizations through things like a pandemic. And then lesson 4 is put your people first. That's critically important. You have to put safety first. You have to consider your people. You have to understand the impact, and the priority always has to be people over performance, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who are going to implement the safety procedures and protocols, the use of PPP, the engagement with customers, right? They're going to help navigate your organization through. And then lesson 5 is be an epic coach. Coaching is something that as leaders, I think that goes hand in hand. And it's an area where if I had a do-over, I would have really, really focused on developing my coaching skills right out of the gate, because I waited until I decided to start a leadership development company to become a certified coach. And boy, if I had invested in something like that much earlier along, I can only imagine the impact I could have had on my team and my organization. And that is essentially critical when you're dealing with a crisis, be it any crisis. And then lesson 6 is build a badass team. So it's critically important that you leverage the team around you, and that you recognize your people, you coach your people, you lead them the way they need to be led. And in a crisis, everybody needs something different, because we all react very differently when it comes to managing stress, and we have different things going on in our personal lives, or our partners or spouses may be impacted differently. And so it's critically important that we build that badass team around one another, and that we create that, what I call in my book, musketeer mentality, where we're all for one for all, and we're supporting one another through crisis. And then lesson 7 is create the struggle. Well, when you're in a crisis, it's been created for you. Mm-hmm. And so, how can we support our teams in, rallying around the struggle, supporting one another to move to lesson 8, which is suck it up, buttercup, and that isn't where I'm inviting leaders to excuse the experience. I think it's important to acknowledge the experience and be empathetic. But as leaders, it's essentially important for us to suck it up and show up well for our teams, because we have people to lead. We have organizations to support. We have brand promises to deliver upon, even in the midst of crisis. And we have to be strong as leaders and leverage support through our mentors if we need support, or up through the organization, but not let that trickle down stress impact your people. And then lesson 9 is don't be a kiss ass.
Love that one.
Yeah. I mean, it's at any time, don't be a kiss ass. It doesn't serve you, so save money on lip gloss and say it like it is, but say it respectfully. And, integrity and values show up when we communicate effectively. So level up your communication skills and invest in that. And then 10 is be a groupie. It sounds really strange in crisis. How can I be a groupie? We're dealing with a crisis here. I can't think of a time when it's more important to rally the troops and to encourage them and cheer them on. I think back when this pandemic started and people were standing on balconies singing across the way to one another throughout the country and appreciating healthcare workers. And there was so much love that was, throughout the world. And I think during crisis, I can't think of a more important time that you should absolutely be a groupie for your team. They're the heroes.
That one is not about groupie as being a follower because you're still a leader. That one's really more about being a supporter, right? Yeah,
absolute supporter and a fan of your people who are especially your frontline service people who are out there in the trenches, right? Trying to help serve your organization or serve your customers or one another. And then expand your tribe is, don't do this alone. We have to leverage one another. We're always better together. And so now's not the time to hold things close to the vest. Not that any time is a good time to do that. But during crisis, we need to expand and leverage other intellectual capital and rely upon one another and really collaborate around the crisis.
First rule of leadership is to create more leaders.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, great leaders create more leaders, period. And then the last one, in lesson 12, is love somebody like you, which is self-care is critically important and even more so in a crisis. And I will confess here that a lot of people have said, well, why is lesson 12 at 12? Why wouldn't that be lesson 1? Isn't that critically important? And it is. And so I invite you to put it at lesson 1. But authentically and out of integrity, I don't live that way. I don't put it at lesson 1. So this is an autobiography. And so it's important that I have integrity and say, look, this is a work in progress for me. I am a bit of an entrepreneuraholic where I love work. I'm very passionate about it. And I need to do a better job at taking time to take time out and rest and take care of myself. So this is my work in progress and my opportunity. But I invite you to prioritize that differently for you.
I think a lot of people would put that at 12 because a lot of them will have low self-esteem. And so, they don't necessarily take care of themselves first. It's like, especially when you're busy of taking care of everybody else, your team,
Yes.
your bosses and everything like that, your family. It's like, and you get your value through your work, which also makes you an extraordinary employee for the company, but it comes at a cost. So I think a lot of people would put it at 12, even though they really should put it at 1.
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I'm still, I'm making progress. I'm definitely doing better. I play hard now, or I used to just work all the time. So I'm really good at least inviting play and
That's good.
prioritizing family time and friends. But I still, I'll do my witching hours between 2 and 3 a.m. I love to get up at that time and get work done. So I'm a little nuts in that
Audrey
regard.
will tell you about the strange text she gets from me on all hours of the night.
I come up with I write press releases in my head at 2 a.m. So the three of us are the same.
It's
funny.
perfect.
One of the things that you said in terms of navigating teams through the pandemic is that you say focus on working on your business as opposed to in your business. I would like for you to explain what that meant when you said that.
Well, the in your business is just the day to day. You're what I call playing professional whack-a-mole. You're just knocking out tasks and getting stuff done. And then when you're really trying to work on your business, it's about vision, mission, values, execution, the people parts of the business, which is to me the single most important thing we should be investing in. And you need to set time aside for that creative and introspective, collaborative brainstorming energy that really takes you from where you are to where you want to be. The mechanics of what we do every single day doesn't necessarily get us outside of our comfort zone or expand our bandwidth in any way as an organization or a team. And so leaders, it's important, and great leaders know this, that you really need to spend the time in that creative and innovative space and invite other people to the party to help you, up your badass leader game.
What I really like about the lessons are the first 3. Don't be an ass, be self-aware, and about trust. And at the time of this recording, I just published a book called Sales Cred, which is all about credibility in the sales game. And as a leader, as a manager, it's like, for you to be able to be successful at all the remaining lessons or whatever, you have to have credibility with your team, and credibility then with your bosses and your customers. And, you can't do that if you're not likable. You can't do that if you're not self-aware, of how you're coming across and how you show up. And, and without credibility, you're never going to get the trust. So it's like, that's, yes. I love where you've got them ordered 1, 2, 3, because it's like that speaks my language.
Excellent. Well, I'm so glad that you brought that up, Lee, because the leadership lessons, I say in my book, the book is very playful and a lot of play on words, and it's a bit hashtaggy, but because I really wanted people to read the book, so I didn't do book summaries. I just did rehashes. Mm-hmm. So, but the lessons are stacked like a yummy layer cake with I say hashtag ice cold milk chaser. But it's
that's awesome.
Yeah, is that you got to start at lesson 1. If you jump to lesson 7 and go, hey, I'm going to create the struggle for my team, but you're an ass and you're not self-aware and you don't have trust,
not going to happen.
It's going to implode, right? And you're going to end up like I did, where what I deem in my book is my hashtag bull ride, where you blow up a team and people say screw you and they walk out and you're just like, and I was unaware. And
they said bull something else.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it was quite colorful and well deserved. And so you have to integrate these lessons in order. And that's this is my recipe for success. This is what worked for me. We're all individuals. You have to find what works for you. But, I have lots of bumps and bruises. So this is road tested and some road rash probably as well, as far as my leadership journey. And it's over time. I have a 34-year career in working with, turning around and building badass teams. And a lot of mistakes came out of this. A lot of immaturity, a lot of insecurity, really bad behavior.
I can tell there's a lot of pain in this book.
There is.
Because when I've written my 2 books, it's the same thing. It's like, I take all those painful experiences, but more importantly, the lessons that I learned from those. And then once I shared those with other people and I realized that I was not alone, that it wasn't just my screw up or the way that I handled a situation or my shortcomings or something like that. Other people have had the same experiences. I just thought it was, so like you, I thought it was important then to share those lessons learned. And you get that from doing a job, for 30 plus years. I mean, you accumulate knowledge and wisdom and it's really our responsibility to pass that along.
Yeah. Well, and for me, it was kind of like being able to redeem myself, right? I really screwed up a team. And when we screw up as leaders, we impact not just the work life, we impact people's families' lives and communities and the way people interact in traffic on the way home or treat the guy at the grocery store. If they don't like their boss, it impacts the quality of their mental, emotional well-being. Mm-hmm. And so I created a lot of collateral damage, and the opportunity to pay it forward and redeem myself and make a difference and help other leaders avoid the bull ride. That's something I'm very, very passionate about. And so I feel, it's my duty to make a difference and make it right, and hopefully help other teams be successful. Besides, when we lead well, it's a kick in the ass. It's a lot of fun, mm-hmm. and it's so easy. That's the thing. The people parts of leadership are, I travel all across the country, both in the U.S. and in the Toronto area, and support leaders throughout organizations. And I inevitably, the number one thing that keeps them up at night are the people parts. Oh, and when we can get this stuff right, it's just so much easier for our teams. It's economically profitable for our margin performance. It helps us as leaders. It's so much easier to be a badass leader and build a badass team around you. It's a ton of fun. And yesterday, the other thing that I was going to say is, and I'm sure you experienced this when you wrote your book, Lee, is, I didn't know if this book was going to be successful or not. I wrote it because I felt like I needed to share my story. But mm-hmm. what was so cool is yesterday I kicked off the first Badass Leader we call boot camp. And I had a line of people coming up to me after this boot camp. And of course we did a socially distant, masks and everything. And that were saying, oh, this was my story. And this is when I was an ass. And oh my gosh, this is what and this lesson, they applied the lessons to themselves, which is what I was hoping for, but mm-hmm. you just don't know. Right. And so I couldn't believe the stories and the way the workshop was so interactive, and it was so much fun. And it was like, I came home to my husband last night and I was quite emotional about it, because when you put your heart and your soul and you put yourself out there and then it resonates, I just felt like, wow, what I had dreamed of is actually working with this book. And they are relating the stories to their own. They get the importance of stacking the lessons. They love the brand, they're buying the t-shirts and it's just, I'm so proud and so excited and like, oh yes, I get to really redeem myself. Yes, that's right.
Your swag section of your website is fun. She's got a gorgeous website. It's badassleader.com, everybody. And we've got a few minutes left. I just wanted to ask you, so I know there's a club, a badass club that you can join, and you are doing some events. If people want to interact with you, do you want them to hit you up on Twitter? Twitter is Michelle Reines.
Yeah, I would love it if they just shoot me an email, michelle@badassleader.com, or give us a call. But definitely email would be great. Twitter would be fine too. I mean, any way that somebody could reach out to me. But badassleader.com is the best way. And the other thing is, I have a gift for all the listeners, because I really appreciate people who take time out to constantly grow themselves and learn. And so I put together a little gift pack. And so if they go to badassleader.com/podcast-gift, they can download some fun stuff, and then they can download the 12 lessons and some other goodies. And then they can have screensavers. Pick your favorite, leadership lesson, and you can have it as your screensaver.
I'm going to hang up now and end the podcast and just.
I'm already there, Audrey.
Hi. No, that's great, and I'll put it in the show notes so people can link to it. And
that'd be great. No, it's my pleasure to share that good stuff. I just want them to get excited. It's the idea idea here is to just inspire people differently. There's so many great leaders out there, so many great books, but a lot of them are designed for what we call the corporate folks or the white collar folks. And this brand is designed for the everyday leader and someone who just might feel that, hey, that stuff is interesting, but that doesn't feel like me. So hopefully this brand will make them feel at home and invite them to be inspired to up their badass leader game.
That's awesome. Well, Michelle, you're now officially a friend of the show. We can't thank you enough
Awesome.
for coming today. And everybody, Michelle is with a double L. So when you spell it for Twitter, put an MICHELLE. It's REINES, everybody.
REI, yes, NES.
Yep. Thanks so much for coming.
My pleasure. I'm excited, and thanks so much, you guys, for the invite, and look forward to sharing this awesome podcast. And I appreciate you taking the time out to have me.
So thanks for being badass.
Oh, always.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and recommend on iTunes, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get more great information at salesfuel.com.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.